A little girl stands in front of a judge. The judge asks her, "Who do you want to live with, your mom or your dad?" She looks at her dad, the man who raised her alone, the man who gave up everything for her. But she points at her mom. The dad doesn't cry, doesn't protest, because he already knows what she's doing. And it's gonna break your heart when you find out too. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we'll be recapping one of the most emotional and quietly devastating films of 2025, Mumu. This is not your typical tearjerker. This is a story about a deaf-mute father, a little girl who became his voice, and a system that tried to crush them both. Before we start, be sure to subscribe and leave a like to support the channel. Now, grab some tissues, because this one hits different. It starts with an arrest that isn't quite what it seems. A young deaf woman is detained inside a police station, caught on camera with money that doesn't belong to her. At least that's the official version. The owner wants no discussion. The footage is clear, he says. But when a sign language interpreter named Mumu is brought in to facilitate, she immediately senses the story has another side. The girl insists the money was her own unpaid wages. Her employer had refused to hand them over, so she took them herself. The owner counters with wounded generosity. He gave her a job out of compassion, he says, and this is how she repaid him. The girl is terrified and wants nothing more than to sign a paper and disappear. Mumu won't let her. She takes her hands, promises to find her a lawyer, and tells her she won't face this alone. Walking out with the officer afterward, Mumu says quietly that she believes the girl is innocent. The officer looks at her sideways. How does she even know sign language? And why does she care this much? The answer is her whole life. Mumu grew up the only hearing person in a world built on silence. Her father Xiaoma is deaf, and she was his voice from the time she could speak. He raised her inside a warm, chaotic community of deaf friends who treated her like their own daughter, who argued over gambling games, threw impromptu dances, and pretended to be host culture events to dodge police complaints about noise. The father was strict about one thing above everything else, her education. He would record poems for her to memorize, then ask strangers to confirm she was getting the words right. He couldn't hear her, but he was determined she would be heard. Life was unstable. They moved constantly, usually because he'd missed school enrollment deadlines. One night, Mumu asks when her mother is coming back. The father pauses, just for a second. Then he signs back, calmly, with a small smile. She went abroad. For work. She'll be back. What she doesn't know is that her parents divorced when she was still a baby. She asks why she has to go to school. She points out that without her he can't work or navigate the world. He tells her that's exactly why she needs school, so she can grow up to be someone who doesn't need to carry anyone. However, it's at this time that the mother reappears without warning. She came back with one goal. She wants to take Mumu, arguing that a girl needs her mother, and that the life he can offer, centered around a gambling hall, unstable housing, and delayed schooling, is no life at all. She places a stack of savings on the table. The father is furious. He says no, refusing to let her buy their daughter back. The ex-wife writes 3 words on a piece of paper and holds it up. "See you in court." To keep custody, Xiaoma needs a lawyer. Through a contact at the hall, he meets a woman named Ame, who can do sign language, and takes him to a lawyer. The lawyer tells him that without evidence of abuse, no one can simply take his child. But the father's situation is weak. He lives in a gambling hall, Mumu isn't enrolled in school, and he has no financial stability. Unless things change immediately, he will lose. There's only one way out. Pay a large legal fee and find stable work to prove to the judge he can support Mumu. The father lands a job as a hotel cleaner. The manager even lets him bring Mumu to sleep in the staff dormitory. With short time, he also successfully enrolls his daughter to school. For the first time in months, he sees a way forward. He works harder than anyone. Every room spotless. He knows this job is the only thing holding his case together. Then one day he knocks on a guest room door. In his silent world, he hears nothing back. He walks in, but a guest appears from the shower. She screams and files a complaint angrily. Turns out it wasn't the only complaint received. Money remains the central problem. The lawyer's fees are mounting and Xiaoma is running out of options. Then the interpreter from the lawyer's office approaches him with a proposition. She shows him a staged car crash, one of his deaf friend from the gambling hall deliberately wrecking a vehicle to collect insurance money. She tells him it's easy work, well paid, and low risk if done carefully. 2,000 yuan per accident. The father is horrified at first, but the hotel threatens to evict them due to the constant complaints. The lawyer needs payment, and the court date is approaching. Reluctantly, he agrees because the fear of losing Mumu is bigger than the fear of everything else. He joins the fraud ring, learning that the lawyer himself is part of the operation. The scheme is sophisticated. High-end cars are crashed. Insurance assessors overvalue the damage. The vehicles go to a repair shop where original parts are swapped for cheap replacements, and the valuable components are sold on His role is to cause the crashes, wearing a helmet each time, absorbing the physical punishment so the money keeps flowing. Every time he drives toward a collision, the last image in his mind is his daughter's face. Mumu begins noticing the bruises, the exhaustion, the way he falls asleep at every opportunity. She doesn't fully understand, but she feels it. With the court date 3 days away, the gang demands one final job before giving money to the father. He waits until Mumu is asleep, tucks her in, and slips out. What he doesn't know is that she wakes up, senses his absence, and follows him down to the garage, climbing silently into the back of the car. He accelerates toward the target vehicle. At the last second, she reaches out. He swerves, misses the other car, and slams into a fence at full speed. The impact is devastating. When he pulls himself from the wreckage, bleeding, he finds her. He carries her to the hospital in his arms. Fortunately, she survived. However, since then she stopped speaking. Her mother, furious, pulls Mumu away from him. In court, the facts are presented plainly. He placed his daughter in danger and he loses custody. When they finally bring Mumu in and ask whom she wants to live with, she chooses her mother. Mumu moves into her mother's home. She watches her half-brother play with their father and feels, quietly and constantly, the absence of her own. In the meantime, Xiaoma is at home depressed, carrying the small toy she once gave him everywhere he goes, as if setting it down would mean letting go of something he can't afford to release. His closest friend visits and finds him with a decision already made. Once he confirms she is safe, he will turn himself in. He contacts the school, but finds out that her mother took her to the airport hours ago. It turns out they are leaving the country today. He runs. He reaches the gate just in time. He holds up the toy. Her face changes completely. She breaks free and runs to him. She signs that she isn't angry. She doesn't want to go. He tells her she has to, for her future, for the life he has been trying to build toward since the day she was born. She makes him promise to stop the dangerous work. He nods. Then the police move in and it's over. As they pull him away, she screams that he is the best father in the world. The investigation dismantles the entire fraud network. The father is brought before the court alongside the rest of them, but the gang has already made its position clear from inside detention. Takes sole responsibility, they tell him, or his daughter will be hurt. He signs a full confession. His old friends protest loudly from the benches. The gang validates every word of the lie. The prosecution is thorough. The courtroom shifts against him. Then Mumu, seated in the gallery, present at the trial because the court allowed it given her age, cannot hold still any longer. She runs to her father. She turns to Ame, the interpreter of the lawyer, and begs her with everything she has to tell the truth. Ame stands up. She tells the court she has been lying. She describes personally witnessing gang members threaten the father inside the detention facility, telling him directly that he would never see his daughter again unless he claimed full responsibility for everything. She reveals that she was recruited into the ring precisely because of her sign language skills, deliberately used to target and draw in deaf individuals who had no other way to navigate the system. She names the 2 men posted outside the courthouse that very morning. Officers move immediately and pull them in before they can disappear. Ame is arrested alongside the rest of the gang. The father addresses the court before sentencing. He says he is sorry, plainly, without excuses. He names what he did. Then he explains, simply, that even though the world of sound has always been closed to him, he has a daughter whose heart is larger than anything he deserves. Every wrong choice he made came from one place: the terror of losing her. He spent years trying to smile at a world that didn't always smile back. Then, slowly, he opens his mouth and produces a sound. Something she taught him, something he practiced alone until he could do it. She weeps the moment she hears it. His sentence is reduced in light of everything. But the crimes were serious. He receives 6 years. Years later, Mumu tells the story herself. As an adult looking back on all of it. Back at the very beginning of all this, the shop owner who set everything in motion is eventually arrested after footage surfaces proving he had harassed the young deaf employee he claimed to pity. And when someone asks Mumu how she can tell a person is deaf just by looking at them, she smiles. Any deaf person, she says, will smile at you the moment they see you. This film tells a simple story. A father who couldn't speak did everything he could to keep his daughter. He made wrong choices. He got trapped. He lost. But his daughter saw him, really saw him, and she carried everything he gave her forward. The most powerful moment in this film isn't the courtroom confession. It's a little girl pointing at the wrong parent on purpose to save the right one. She already understood everything. That's the silent love.